Two spears and a jackhammer later, and the entire wrestling community is shocked. Hello, everybody. My name is Connor, aka OKayFabe, and welcome back here to One Wrestling and One Wrestling Video, as we are going to discuss and review all the aspects and the shocking moments and all the crazy controversy surrounding WWE Survivor Series 2016 results and review. Of course, I already introduced myself. You guys know me by now. Connor, aka OKayFabe, your official SmackDown video correspondent for OneWrestling.com videos YouTube channel, and I am not alone this time. Joining here with me is, of course, one of the members, one of the brothers here of Big Slam Nation. We've got none other than the Professor. Professor, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, OKayFabe. And what's going on, Slamites? This was what a great Survivor Series. I know how everybody's a little bit upset, a little bit mad, but you know what? The Professor was happy, and I'm gonna explain it in this show why I'm happy. I'm a happy camper.
Now, needless to say, this Survivor Series is surrounded by a lot of controversy. Of course, a lot of people are talking about the shocking revelation of Goldberg and the match with Brock Lesnar. We're going to get to that in the main event, but also some craziness going on between all the Survivor Series matches and, of course, the Cruiserweight and Intercontinental Championship. We're going to cover all those matches for you guys right here, right now. But don't forget, guys, if you guys are new here to the One Wrestling Video YouTube channel, make sure you do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and share this video across the world and across all the vastness of the intergalactic galaxy known as social media. That sounds about right, intergalactic galaxy, not the Beastie Boys song, but I digress. Anyway, and don't forget to also give support to the entire OneWrestling.com family, not just myself, not just the Professor, but everyone over at Big Slam, Big Ray, and of course the legendary, the iconic Mr. Bill After. All those links will be provided down in the description box below. And of course, don't forget, please, ladies and gentlemen, please check out the official GoFundMe for our late departed Bill Schuyler, another member of the Big Slam Nation. The GoFundMe is still active. Please help support and donate to the family of Bill Schuyler. The link is still available. Everything's still available. All your help, all your sharing, all your donations are much appreciated. We thank you for the continued love and support for the family of Bill Schuyler. Now, we're going to move on to Survivor Series. This was I was trying to talk to Professor before we got on the air here, and it took your breath away for so many reasons. And the first thing was we kicked off with the 5-on-5 women's match. The 5 women from Raw, of course, Bayley, Nia Jax, Alicia Fox, Sasha Banks, and the Raw Women's Champion, Charlotte, I almost forgot her name, with, of course, Dana Brooke. SmackDown Live had their top 5. SmackDown Live had their top 5 women. You had Carmella. You had Alexa Bliss with the SmackDown Women's Champion Becky Lynch, Naomi, and Nick. Wait a minute. Nikki Bella just happened. Nope. Nikki Bella unfortunately suffered a random injury. Oh no, what is to happen? That's right, Natalya. Natalya, the coach who was just waiting on standby, whistle in tow, was waiting and ready and willing to defend the honor of SmackDown Live. I'm very glad they actually ended up putting Natalya in this matchup because I completely forgot they're in Toronto, Canada. So, of course, she's going to get a massive pop for this one. How could I be so stupid? The matchup itself, I thought, was pretty good, but I want to throw it over to Professor first and foremost. I mean, Professor, what do you think overall of the matchup? Anything highlights of this one? And do you think this is a great way to kick off Survivor Series this year?
I think it was a great way to kick off Survivor Series, and it was a great thing to sub in Natalya as I guess the co-captain with Becky Lynch on SmackDown Live for Nikki Bella's quote-unquote injury. But I think that SmackDown Live, we'll see with the security footage who attacked her in the locker room. My guess is Carmella. What do you think, Connor?
I don't know. I mean, it's horrible. Maybe Nikki tripped. Maybe she fell on something. Maybe she didn't follow a certain cat on Instagram. I don't know. I'm just saying accidents happen all the time, and we just got to be careful. You got to be a workman's comp. You got to make sure. OSHA, there's some laws in place for this kind of stuff.
You know what? Wait, Connor, I hate to jump in, but maybe you're right. Maybe Natalya might have jumped Nikki from behind because she was obsessed with being in the match. Don't you think?
No, not Natalya. She's the coach. She's supposed to encourage and enlighten and oh gosh, it's probably Natalya. But in any case, I'm actually really glad that they did put Natalya in this matchup. Obviously, we saw the tension and teasing over on SmackDown, and I'm kind of glad they ended up putting Natalya, like I mentioned before, as far as because of the fact that, hey, Natalya from Canada, massive pop. It was great to have her in the matchup. Overall, I thought the matchup was pretty well done. I thought that it was a great way to kick it off with the 5-on-5. Personally, I would have done the tag teams first. That's just my personal opinion. But that being said, great way to kick it off. Very impressed by the dominance of Nia Jax. Natalya eliminating Sasha Banks. Whoa, did not see that one coming. I mean, Professor, was there any particular moments that stood out for you in this matchup?
I did like the dominance of Nia Jax. I like the way they portrayed her as the dominant monster, just throwing everybody out the ring, just dominating, squashing Becky Lynch, squashing Alexa Bliss, squashing Carmella, et cetera, et cetera. I like Nia Jax's performance. And you know what? What caught me by surprise was the eliminations, like you said, Connor, like Sasha Banks getting eliminated like that so quickly. I mean, you could tell like Alicia Fox and Naomi, they were going to be the sacrificial lambs, but it was like the Sasha Banks is getting eliminated and Becky Lynch getting eliminated. So that's the things that kind of caught me off guard.
I mean, generally, and we'll get more into this once we get to the tag team and the men's competition, but there was a lot of those this entire evening. And that's kind of why I like the 5-on-5 Survivor Series matches, is that you don't know exactly what's going to happen. You have a general idea of, okay, maybe this will happen or this will happen, but the eliminations, especially this year, were very sudden and shocking, and just, this is a whole shocking night, to say the least. Monday Night Raw getting the victory over here on the women with Charlotte in her victory, attacking Bayley after the matchup. Could we see, Professor, Bayley? Do you think it's inevitable, Bayley versus Charlotte for the women's championship over on Raw?
Of course. I mean, that was the way it was set up to be, storyline-wise. I mean, Charlotte did not, you could tell that Charlotte was a little bit jealous, envious of Bayley getting the elimination win. So, she had to put her stamp on it, saying she's the queen of Raw, she's the queen of the women's division, and she had to take out Bayley. So if it's going to be tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw that they're going to be fighting, or the next Raw pay-per-view, which I believe is Roadblock for a women's title match, then, the cards are set for that.
Now, personally, I was really intrigued because Nia Jax, I think, is obviously the most unique woman there. She's still somewhat new on the top roster. We've obviously seen her, vying for the NXT Women's Championship, but she really hasn't done anything major on the Raw roster as it pertains. I think this is a major step. Do you think, I personally think that Nia was booked just the right way to kind of show that she could hang with the big girls, tease that idea of hanging with the big girls, seeing her with the big, like the bigger women as far as their popularity. Do you think Nia is getting a championship shot anytime soon, especially after seeing this one? I personally think so.
No, I don't think. I think it's too soon. I think if they're gonna phase out Sasha and Charlotte, how they've been having their back and forths with the rematches and stuff like that, and maybe they're gonna do Bayley and Charlotte. I think Sasha is gonna try to get Nia Jax over. I think that's the next kind of feud in the making. I think you could see the chemistry there between Sasha and Nia Jax.
All right, fair enough. We'll see that definitely on Roadblock and see what exactly happens over.
Connor,
yes, sir.
But Connor, let me just say one thing on a personal level. I think you can see how bad that how should I say this? This is why I hated that the women's division was split up into two. This is why I kept saying before the brand split how the women's division just needed to be either Raw or SmackDown. Personally, I wanted them all to be on SmackDown. You had 10 women there. Nia Jax is a great example of how she could be working with like so many of these women superstars, and she's only dissected to like either Sasha Banks or Bayley or Alicia Fox.
Right.
There's not a lot of cream in the crop, if you know what I'm saying.
No, I completely agree. I think one of the overall issues, I mean, one of the biggest critiques that I had about the Survivor Series in general, and it's not to take anything away from the matches, and I want to preface this opinion by saying I loved all three of the 5-on-5 Survivor Series matches, the women, the tag, and the men's. The only concern I have really was the fact that I felt like there wasn't enough oomph or emphasis on how important those matches were. And the only reason, and it's not anybody's fault, the brand split is still fresh. It's only been active since July. And I think that also plays a part into what you were basically saying about the fact that, we haven't seen Nia really working with anybody else. And primarily they're focusing on Charlotte and Sasha and Bayley to more or less an extent, at least since the brand split happened. So it's tricky in that regards, because I feel like if you had like the heated rivalry of Raw and SmackDown, and then you had these matches that we had at the pay-per-view, man, you would draw some big numbers. But I want to hear you guys' thoughts as well too, you the loyal viewers and the listeners of One Wrestling, and of course the Big Slam Nation. Let us know what you guys think down in the comment section below, and of course hit us up on Twitter. Follow the Professor. Professor, what's your Twitter handle, by the way? I can never seem to get it right.
It is PROFPW Hustle, aka Professor PW Hustle.
And of course, you can follow me, OKayFabe RWP. That's why I got a new Twitter, OKayFabe RWP. But let's kick it into the first championship matchup of the evening. We had The Miz, SmackDown Live's Miz defending the Intercontinental Championship against Sami Zayn. This matchup, I felt, should have been just a little, again, the oomph. And Miz winning the championship simply, mere, 5 days prior on SmackDown Live from Dolph Ziggler. I personally would have loved to have seen Dolph Ziggler versus Sami Zayn, even if it meant Dolph Ziggler retaining the Intercontinental Championship. I'm not upset that Sami Zayn didn't win. Part of me would have loved to have seen Sami Zayn win, but at the same time, felt like we could have gotten a little bit more if we had Dolph Ziggler versus Sami Zayn in this one. Although, if they're looking to push The Miz, having him use his wife and cheat the way he did, I love The Miz. Can I say I love The Miz? I love The Miz. Professor, I'll throw it over to you.
Say it again, Connor. Say it again.
Love The Miz.
I think we could safely say this, and I think you will agree. I think the YWC wanted Ziggler against Zayn because they wanted that show-stealing match. They thought if you put Ziggler against Zayn, it could have been a 30-minute, 5-star Broadway match, and we cannot deny that. I think they would have had great chemistry together. What The Miz offers, which which fans keep hating on The Miz. I don't know why the fans keep hating on The Miz, because The Miz is such a great heel, such a great student of the game with the psychology he does to the fans. He plays to the fans, doing the Daniel Bryan, fingers up in the air, copying his moves. I mean, he is such a great foil and a great heel that people should appreciate what The Miz brings to the table. And as far as the match goes, Connor, I agree it didn't have that that pizzazz, but it did what it had to do, and it did what it needed to do for SmackDown to kind of get a winner overall. So SmackDown needed to keep the title, which I was surprised. I was, I don't want to jump the gun here, but I was predicting the titles would be switching from one show to the other. That's the way I was looking at it.
Well, I mean, typically,
you trade an Intercontinental Championship for a Cruiserweight Championship.
I kind of was on the same boat, and I was actually, I was kind of thinking, maybe they might bring the Intercontinental Championship to Raw, and this is no disrespect to Raw, not that I'm, biased in being the SmackDown video reporter, but I digress. I don't think having both the United States Championship and the Intercontinental Championship on the same show would have done anyone any good, and that goes for SmackDown too. If SmackDown had both the US and IC title, I don't think it would have been a great idea either, because what it does is that one will always trump the other, and it will be hard to determine the pecking order, and also which is more prestigious, because ultimately, no matter what way you look at it, one of them will be one step notch below the other. So keeping them separate, I think, was the best route to go, but definitely agree with you as far as lacking the oomph. But Miz, still your Intercontinental Champion. Now we move on to the 5-on-5 tag team elimination. My goodness, this matchup was chaos. I loved everything about this, to be completely honest with you. There was a lot of just craziness. This was actually out of the 3 5-on-5 matches that we had, this was the one I was kind of looking forward to the most, because you have what, 20 people? Is that right? 20 men in one matchup. I mean, it's just the possibilities are absolutely chaotic and wild. A lot of shocking eliminations. I was
20,
mentioning to you before.
22, kind of 22 if you count Xavier Woods and Francesca 2.0.
Oh, yes, that's right, Francesca.
But who's counting?
No, who's counting? But a lot of shocking moments, a lot of shocking eliminations. I was shocked to see American Alpha taken out by the Club. I was shocked to see New Day being the first team on Raw eliminated. But the ending was absolutely just a piece of work. It was great to see, you had Cesaro and Sheamus, who I now think the world of them as a tag team, which is very funny to say considering what we've seen them going through on Monday Night Raw on a weekly basis. And the Usos, who I would never have expected to be the last team standing. We presumably think it would be the champions that would be last. But, I mean, they just put on some great nail-biting moments, some great athleticism. I mean, it was fantastic. I loved the tag team elimination match. Professor, what did you think about this one?
Well, let me just put 2 points out there, and I don't want to go back with the women's Survivor Series match with this, but it kind of coincides with each other. I think WWE writers wanted to showcase why Raw is the A show, if you can understand what I'm trying to say. I think they wanted, you know how I know you're the SmackDown reporter, Connor, but you know what? Saying like SmackDown is the A show, the great show, the show with the great flow. You know, Raw is
Right.
like a snooze fest and all this stuff. But WWE writers wanted to remind the people out there that Raw has the talent and Raw has, you know, the people that can go. So this was a great showcase for not only the women of Raw, but the tag team scene on Raw too. So, you know, New Day might have been eliminated first, but like you said, Sheamus and Cesaro showcased their talents. And also, let's not forget Carl Anderson and Gallows.
Yes, yes.
They put up a great performance too. I mean, they were eliminated a little bit later in the match, and I was thinking they were going to be one of the quicker ones. They were going to be one of the quickest eliminations, and they weren't. So, you know, you got a great showing. Even Enzo and Cass did it. And you know what? Being nostalgic as the professor is, I was a little bit disappointed that the Shining Stars did not have that conquistadors kind of run in the Survivor Series tag team match. They could have been at the end, but got eliminated. But, you know, that was just more of a professor's personal booking, but it didn't happen that way.
Well, it was really, you're right. The club definitely got a much, I think, honestly, to be, I'll say this bold statement right here. I think that was one of their best performances they've had since they signed to WWE. As far as being highlighted and showcased the way they were. But to your point, as far as Raw being the dominant brand, you know, obviously we'll get to like the full results as far as, you know, obviously Raw getting more victories over SmackDown is in comparison. But, you know, typically if you look back at the history books of a lot of like the bragging rights and the Survivor Series, we had Raw versus SmackDown in the past. Most of the time, SmackDown dominated. It was usually SmackDown that got over because they needed to push like the SmackDown being the bigger brand, or like at least pushing it up there.
Right.
So I guess to your point, I do see your point 110%. I guess it's just because a lot of people see SmackDown as, you know, maybe still the B show, and also, you know, 2 hours versus the 3 hours, you know, the whole kit and caboodle. You know, Raw has more going for it than SmackDown does, at least if you look at it from a general perspective. So I get your point on that one. I was just blown away by the athleticism. Like, honestly, once we got to the point with like Cesaro, Sheamus, and the Usos, I really didn't care too much who won. I was just really enjoying the whole thing because it was very creative. Although I jokingly,
and Connor,
yes.
let's not forget, Usos had a hell of a performance. I think I was more pleasantly surprised, even the way they turned heel. But they were kind of babyfaced here. They just said, you know what, we're not going to do our storylines. We're not going to attack anybody. They played it as Team SmackDown, and they had a hell of a performance too.
It was great. And another, just a side note before we move on to the Cruiserweight matchup, one thing I did like about these 5-on-5 matches was the fact that they still tried to incorporate wearing the team shirt as much as they possibly could to give that definite, like, you know, visual distinction of Raw versus SmackDown. Just a little bonus thing that I thought was really kind of cool. But yeah, that was just, there were some just impressive moves and fantastic athleticism from so many men. So my hat's off to all 22 participants in that 5-on-5 tag team matchup. I thought it was fantastic. It was amazing. Nothing really to, you know, I can't take anything away from that one. The one that kind of, you know, one of the, again, a full night of shocking moments and shocking revelations and shocking results was the Cruiserweight matchup. You had the Brian Kendrick defending the Cruiserweight Championship and the fate of the Cruiserweight division as he took on SmackDown's Kalisto. If Kalisto won, not only would he win the Cruiserweight Championship, but the entire Cruiserweight division would jump ship to SmackDown Live. Now, obviously, and yours truly included, speculated pretty easily that most of us saw Kalisto winning this, and I think a majority reason was because WWE is debuting 1 week from Tuesday the 205 Live show, which is a Cruiserweight exclusive highlight show that will feature, obviously, the entire Cruiserweight division. So I think most people instantly assumed that Kalisto was going to win the championship, bring it over to SmackDown, and everything would kind of balance out on that end. But Professor, as we found out, didn't really go to plan. Mind filling people in on exactly what just happened?
Well, you know what? The match was okay at best. I give it like a B+. Well, B-, B- to B kind of match. But the ending was a total D to an F. I mean, how are you going to put... I understand why Baron Corbin had to come out to attack Kalisto and get revenge on Kalisto for injuring, well, quote-unquote, injuring him out of the Team SmackDown main event. But it was just a horrendous booking there. I didn't see it. I didn't see a need for it, but Baron Corbin, being the lone wolf that he was, he had to put his 2 cents in and mess up the title win for SmackDown. So it was kind of stupid.
I mean, the interesting thing was that he attacked Brian Kendrick first. He took out Kendrick and then caught Kalisto in midair, did the whole thing. So it was a bit of a head scratcher. I mean, I was thinking about this after the result happened. At first, I was like, this makes no sense. And I started flipping tables, all 3 tables where did my tables go? I digress. A point being is that I was kind of on the same boat where I thought, like, I don't really see the benefit of having Corbin do this. And granted, I understand Corbin and Kalisto are doing their own thing. And I even try to rationalize of, like, maybe Corbin should have at least attacked Kalisto after he won the championship, but even that wouldn't have made any sense, because if Kalisto were to win the Cruiserweight Championship, he would obviously be the hood ornament, the focal point of 205 Live. And that would just really kind of just, I think, screw the whole thing up on that end. So I think ultimately, obviously, they're going with the direction of Baron Corbin versus Kalisto. And of course, I'm just selfish in saying that I wish the Cruiserweights were on SmackDown. But yeah, I agree with you. The match was pretty solid, but the ending was a little bit questionable. But let's hear you guys' thoughts again down in the comment section over on the Twitter as well, too, and give us the love on the social media. We got the last 5-on-5 Survivor Series Classic matchup, the men going at it. We've got Raw's side. We've got the Universal Champion Kevin Owens, his best friend and co-captain Chris Jericho. Seth Rollins, the Architect, the United States Champion Roman Reigns, who wears his championship over his shoulder. Like a Continental Soldier, and I don't know why. Braun Strowman, who I am starting to become a major fan of, against SmackDown Live's amazing team of the WWE World Champion AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, SmackDown Live Commissioner's own Shane McMahon, who I think gets the MVP award in this entire matchup. And we'll get into that in just a minute. Of course, the mascot, James Ellsworth. This matchup threw everything. I think literally this matchup threw everything in the kitchen sink at us. It really did. Like, I was trying to think back to like the choreography of this entire thing and just like where it went. I mean, you saw, you got to see AJ versus Seth Rollins, which we haven't really seen on TV in WWE. AJ versus Kevin Owens, same deal. You got to see The List make his impact. You saw Braun absolutely murder people in this matchup, which I don't know if you remember this one, Professor, but when he tossed AJ out of the ring, I got so scared. I did a jump up.
I jumped up when he threw him over the rope, and I was like, oh, I hope he didn't land on his neck.
And then, of course, there's the Shane McMahon dive from the top rope outside the ring, and then Braun killing James Ellsworth, it seems, throwing him off the stage. I mean, there were so many insane spots. We had a Shield reunion. We had so much craziness in this one. But I think the big one that a lot of people were talking about, yours truly included, and I think we were also talking this with our fellow Big Slam members, was, of course, just absolutely, I want to give him a hug. He's just absolutely an absolute insane wild beast. Professor, feel free to talk a little bit about what exactly happened to poor Shane O'Mac.
Well, Shane O'Mac was on the top rope. He was attempting to do a Van Terminator, but Roman sprung up and did his Roman Reigns personal spear. But if people noticed, when Roman did the spear, he kind of did it high up to the chest. So Shane couldn't protect himself. So if you saw his head jerk back and hit the canvas really hard, so he bounced. So, in football, when you get hit in your head, Slam Ice, you got to understand this. Initially you feel okay and you really want to go on and play, but with the new concussion protocols and people learning about concussions and whatnot, that's where the doctors ran in a little bit quicker. You saw Shane's eyes back to his head.
Yep.
Because he was out of it. But, he was doing his instincts of trying to kick out. But the doctor said, no way, he's not continuing. So Shane abruptly got eliminated, but it was for his own good. And that was not a work. That was a shoot there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to keep my eye on like social media and other notes as far as any updates as far as Shane McMahon goes. Keep in mind, folks, that everything we're discussing here is at this point pure speculation. However, Shane was taken out suddenly and randomly. But if you go back and watch exactly what Professor was talking about, he's absolutely 110% correct. It looked like Shane's head hit the wrong way when coming down from the spear, even though he kicked out, which was fantastic. But you did see the referee trying to talk to Shane, and just nobody was home. WWE obviously having a very strong standing on the concussion protocol, so we hope Shane McMahon is doing okay. I believe Randy Orton was actually, if you go back and look, he was actually talking to, I think it was Shane McMahon's children at ringside, and he was trying to just trying to reassure him that Dad was okay, and just hope and pray, thoughts and prayers out to Shane. But man, the man with no fear, I mean, he can't top it. But we saw like Dean Ambrose come back after getting eliminated. I was just nuts. Professor, for you, what was your favorite moment of that whole matchup? I mean, there's so many to choose from.
I think the list of Jericho playing an integral part of eliminating the best friends connection of Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho played a part. I'm not saying that's a great moment. I'm just saying that's a moment that you can't forget. And AJ Styles and Dean Ambrose really amping up the TLC main event with their eliminations. So I kind of was expecting that, but that's where I kind of got like left for me, because it was like I'm thinking in my head 5 days ago, The Undertaker saying whoever messes up Team SmackDown's win against Team Raw, he was coming after them. So that's why I was like, okay, this was happening. This was perfect. Like AJ Styles is ruining Team SmackDown's chances, but once that happened, it was like, oh, they're going this way. And then the Shield reunion, like you said, and taking out everybody, and wow. And I'm just more surprised that I'm not really surprised that they had Roman Reigns being the last one on Raw. It was just man. It was the people's choice. You heard the fans. You heard the fans chanting, "Let's go SmackDown!" Once Roman Reigns was the sole survivor on Raw. So that was a moment that I can't forget.
Well, I mean, we kind of, I think generally speaking, if we knew it was going to be down to just one member of Team Raw, I think generally speaking, us fans probably presumed it was going to be Roman Reigns. I have no
problem with that. Okay, I have no problem with that. I like it.
SmackDown getting, of course, their only victory as it pertains to the 5-on-5 matches. That's the only one, of course, Team Raw winning the tag team one and Team Raw winning the women's one. Even though SmackDown was able to keep the Intercontinental Championship, Brian Kendrick with the win for the Cruiserweight division makes Raw. Yeah, yes, sir.
Oh, one more thing before I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to remind the fans who got the win on Team SmackDown. Not only Randy Orton, but the other one that people keep complaining that never gets a win, and he got the biggest win of his career to me. Yep. Let's not forget Bray Wyatt got the biggest win.
Without getting into too much detail on this one, Professor, I personally have this theory, and I'm secretly rooting that Bray Wyatt wins the Royal Rumble. It's just a stretch. It's just a thought, but it's a hope. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, down the road in another episode of the Future Big Slam Nation. Before we get into the main event, guys, because I'm sure this one's going to be a hot topic for sure. I want to remind you guys, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe and like button. Share this video to the entire world. Comment down below your thoughts on this year's Survivor Series, favorite matchup, least favorite matchup, even though I'm pretty sure you guys probably know what that one probably is. And, of course, make sure you follow us on the entire social media, myself, Professor, everyone at Big Slam Nation, of course, our big friend Big Ray, and Bill Apter at Apter1 Wrestling. And, of course, once again, the GoFundMe for our late departed brother, Bill Schuyler, and his family. Much love and appreciation. If you guys could at least share that, donate what you can, it would mean the world to us. Now, going to get into the main event here. Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar. I don't know where to begin with this one. And I'm sure it's going to be a very popular opinion because social media is still going abuzz about this, that Goldberg not only defeated Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series this evening, but he did it in a record-setting 2 minutes, under 2 minutes. I'm not even sure the official time. I have to go back and check. But basically Brock Lesnar taking up Bill Goldberg and planting him into the turnbuckle corner. Goldberg shoving Brock Lesnar down, hitting one spear, hitting a second spear, and then a jackhammer to pick up the victory. Possibly one of the biggest shocking upset, probably the most shocking moment of this entire year. I'm going to throw that out there and say that was the biggest shock in the wrestling world, I think, in this entire year. I have no words for this one. I'm going to throw it over to Professor because I'm sure Professor has a lot of things to say. Professor, bottom line, Brock Lesnar, Bill Goldberg, main event of Survivor Series. Yay or nay?
I go with a profound yay because personally, as the Professor, I have been saying on Big Slam Nation, I've been saying on PW Hustle, I've never liked the way Brock Lesnar has been booked after conquering the streak, decimating opponent after opponent, making interest of his future matches so smaller and it was so waning. It was like, even for Brock Lesnar against Goldberg, I said it on Big Slam Nation, I wasn't interested. I honestly will say that. But once I saw Goldberg in that ring, being the Dragon Slayer, that's the way I'm going to call him. He was the Dragon Slayer, and Brock Lesnar was the Dragon. He slayed the dragon. I was jumping up for joy. I did cartwheels. And let's not forget, Connor, I think the fans have got to understand before they go on social media and complain a little bit that he might have tweaked his shoulder as reports have said on the dirt sheets. So they might have had to do a rewrite for Bill Goldberg, because I don't know if he could sustain like the punishment that Brock Lesnar kind of like gives out, with knees to the stomach, knees to the shoulders. Right. High impact moves, so he probably couldn't have handled that. So they might have had to rewrite it for this 2-minute and under match. So it is what it is. But
I mean, it's definitely, I think, a controversial fashion, because as I was mentioning to you before we came on the air, I was more just floored, because as you were mentioning, they've been building Brock Lesnar to be an absolute monster. He hasn't lost officially since beating the Undertaker's undefeated streak. He hasn't. He's been pretty much kicking butt and taking names across the entire WWE anytime they put him.
And that Undertaker win at SummerSlam was like, under controversy. So it didn't count.
Right. That's why I say officially. So, they did all these different things to protect Brock as far as, the way they, was presenting him. And I guess it's not so much the fact that Goldberg beat him. I think a lot of people were obviously looking back to the match at WrestleMania 20, where Goldberg defeated Brock Lesnar the first time, and thinking, okay, Brock's here, he's going to get the one-up and make it even keel. But not only did Goldberg defeat him, it was the swift nature of how he defeated him. Again, to your point.
Say it, Connor. He destroyed him. He destroyed Brock Lesnar.
He destroyed Brock Lesnar, and it's very weird for me to say that in this current day and age. And I hope my idol and the person whom I worship, Paul Heyman, is not listening to this conversation. But anyway, it was just flooring, because again, we've been, Brock Lesnar has been built as this monster since, for almost 2 straight years, going on 3. It's a little bizarre. And now the question I'm going to throw over to you, Professor. Do we see Brock and Goldberg round 3?
I think we have to. I think there's no choice that it has to happen. Maybe for Royal Rumble, maybe for WrestleMania, but there needs to be a third match, and maybe Goldberg could be more healthier to do it. But let me just say this: what this decimation of Brock Lesnar does, it humanizes Brock Lesnar. It makes him. It doesn't make him like on the same level as the WWE roster, but it makes that roster close enough. So if Brock Lesnar fights like a Kevin Owens, or if he fights like maybe Samoa Joe when he comes up from the NXT rosters, or Nakamura, just to name a few people, because people have been sprinkling those names against Brock Lesnar for like dream matches, it would at least make it more interesting and more like appealing to the masses, instead of saying, well, Brock Lesnar is just going to do Suplex City and then win with an F5. So now, once Goldberg humanized Brock Lesnar, what he did was it was best for business. I like to take that Triple H saying. It was best for business to humanize Brock Lesnar and make future bookings of Brock Lesnar more appealing. You might not agree, Connor, but I think it will be better for it.
No, I can definitely see your point to that, because it definitely creates the room of doubt, where that way you're not instantly assuming, oh, it's a Brock Lesnar match, therefore Brock is instantly going to win. So I definitely see your point. I guess it's just, I can't remember who said it. I actually might have been Diamond Dallas Page, but he said it's not so much that you lose, it's how you come back from the loss that matters. And I think that's the part that I think a lot of people, especially where Brock Lesnar is a part-timer, that's the part that's going to be very intriguing. Goldberg lost in WWE before, so it's not like Goldberg's not undefeated either. He's lost, he lost at the Elimination Chamber. He lost at SummerSlam. He's lost he's lost in WWE. He's not undefeated anymore. So it's really just a matter of how they're going to present Brock Lesnar going forward. And I definitely agree with you. I think they need to do Brock Lesnar, Bill Goldberg 3. But here's my question to you on that one. This is the last question before we wrap things up here. If we see Brock Lesnar versus Bill Goldberg round 3, is this the time Brock Lesnar goes over?
Yes. I think Brock Lesnar, okay. I think he will go over. I think it will be a better match. I think it will be a longer match. Might not be 2 minutes. It might be maybe 5 minutes. But he will win, and he will be Goldberg because he has to. I think for now, you have Brock Lesnar obsessed. He hasn't conquered something. So, and now that he's 2-0, he can't have like 3 more matches against Goldberg, but he needs one win. That's all he needs. He's obsessed with one win. And watch out, WWE roster, because now you got an angry Brock Lesnar that can't beat Goldberg.
I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. Real fast before I forgot to mention this as well too. Just to throw out, and what was your favorite moment and or match of Survivor Series? Personally, mine was kind of seeing I think the tag team matchup really was the one that really kind of surprised me. Although my favorite moment I think was seeing Braun Strowman. Was seeing Shane McMahon doing the leap, doing the diving elbow to Braun Strowman outside during the 501 males matchup. I mean, Professor, I think I know what your favorite moment is, but what was your favorite match and moment from this year's Survivor Series?
Goldberg and Brock Lesnar, match of the year for WWE. Thank you, Vince. Thank you, Steph, for booking it the way you did. It was beautiful.
And there you go. There you have it. Thank you guys again. I want to take this time to once again thank the amazing, the awesome Big Slam brother, the Professor, PW Hustle, right here with us, Anthony Quintana. Thank you for joining us right here on the official OneWrestling.com video YouTube channel, WWE Survivor Series 2016 review and results. Again, we encourage you guys subscribe, like, share. You guys know the whole deal right now. Follow us on the various social media and give love to the entire OneWrestling.com family, including myself, including Professor. All those links down in the description and box below. And again, once again, the GoFundMe for our late great Bill Schuyler. His family would be appreciated if you could just share and donate. Do whatever you can to help out the family. It'd be much loved and much appreciated. Let us know your thoughts on this year's Survivor Series down in the comments below. Please try to be nice. That's all I'm saying. I know, but just little. Don't be too mean. That's all I ask. That's all I ask, folks. Thank you guys again for watching.
No, Connor, our Slamites are not mean. They're very informative. They're very inquisitive. They will debate. I will debate the Slamites. Don't worry about it, Connor. They're good. They will listen to the Professor.
I'm just playing it safe because I know this is a very sensitive main event. Thank you guys again for watching. Appreciate the continued love and support here. And to quote the legendary, the iconic Mr. Bill Apter, we will see you
at the
matches.